Okay, here's the first thing you're going to do is just kind of fill this out. I want you, when you hand your assignments back to me, I want this to make sure you did it, and then the other one that you're going to be doing that's new. Okay, so negative 4x to the power of 2 minus 28x equals 0. I need to solve. The x is to the second, meaning we have two answers. And then I have x to the second, and I've also got x to the first, so that means I need to set up my factoring boxes. Okay, so this one only has two terms to factor, so I would do a GCF. And then I would check see if I had a difference of perfect squares. Okay, maybe I do, maybe I don't. It's a way to always set up two terms. So we have a negative in front, and we have x on both. And then if I punch in 4 and 28 into the GCF calculator, it gives me 4. So I factor out negative 4x. Okay, so now that does have x, so I'm just going to parenthesize that because that is going to be one of my F1, and then I divide by negative 4x. I can cancel that, so it's positive 1 x with x, and then when I see minus, I want to do negative 28 divided by negative 4, and that's 7, so plus 7. Okay, now this is not a difference of perfect squares. 7's not a perfect square, and not only that, it's not a negative. Okay, so get rid of that. And this is my F1, and this is my F2. So negative 4x can equal 0, or we also have the possibility that 1 times x plus 7 can equal 0. So I'm going to box the x's up, and I'll divide by negative 4, and that's 0. Then I minus 7. 0 minus 7 is negative 7, and I don't need to divide by 1. Okay, the next one's a quick one. There's two answers, but it's quick because we have x to the second, but we have x to the second only, okay? So when I have it only, just one thing, I don't set up these boxes. I need to isolate the x variable. So I have a subtraction of 8 to undo, so I'd plus 8. So 2x to the second power equals 12. I have a multiplication by this big 2 here to undo, so I divide by 2. And x to the second power equals 6. Now to find the number times itself is 6. Don't divide by 2. You need to find the square root of 6. Okay? Because x to the second equals a number is asking you what times itself is that number. And no, it's not 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Well, square root 6, and that'll tell you the number times itself. That's 6, and it's a decimal, so 2.45. Now, there is two answers because the other scenario is that it was negative, because a negative times itself is also that. Okay, next problem. I have two answers. So I have x to the second. Yep, that's there. And x to the first is also there. So I need to factor. So I'm going to need my boxes, but before I draw them, everything needs to be on one side. We need to have this side cleared. So to clear a 4x at positive 4, we'd subtract that. And that goes with the negative 2x. And then the plus 27, I clear that through subtraction. So that would go in no man's land. Okay, so now that gives me 1x to the second. Now when I'm doing this, it's not just 2 minus 4. It's negative 2 minus 4. That top number needs to be entered in as a negative. And that's negative 6x. Write minus 6x. And then minus 27 equals 0. Okay, now I have three terms. And I'll be doing my GCF and my t-table. So the greatest common factor, negative in front, no. You got x on everything, no. 1, 6, and 27 would give you 1. So if the GCF's positive 1, you want to just get rid of that. Don't worry about it. A, B, C. So I take A times C. Positive 1 times negative 27. Well, that's a negative product of 27, okay? Difference of 6, and this does work. 1 and 27, that ain't 6. 2 is a decimal, but if you divide 27 by 3, you get 9. Well, that's 6, okay? So it's those two numbers. So I have minus 6, so you're going to have minus 9 on the bigger number. Whatever's here, that sign goes to the bigger number, and on a difference, the signs are not matching. They need to be the opposite. Okay, so A equals, I go look at my x to the second. Last one I saw had a 1 in front of it, so that's just 1x squared is only x times x. So I just need 2 parentheses. So x plus 3 minus 9. And there was no GCF, so this will be F1 and this will be F2. Okay, so x plus 3 can equal 0, or x minus 9 can equal 0. So I box my x's, I'm minus 3, and that's negative 3. And that's 9. Okay. Okay, then my last problem on this, I have 2 answers, okay? And I have x to the second, and I also have x to the first, so we're going to need to factor, okay? We can't really get x by itself when there's 2 different ones, more than one different one. Okay, so there's 3 terms again, because the zero's here, I was set up with that. So GCF and the T, okay? So the GCF, don't have a negative, don't have x on everything. 1, 6, and 3 is 1, okay? Okay, so I take A times C, that's positive 1 times positive 3, and that's positive 3. And I'm looking for a sum of 6. Well, 3 is a prime number. You just have 1 in itself, and that doesn't add to 6. So that failed, okay? But now you got something else, okay? The quadratic formula, the song. Opposite of B, opposite of B. So the opposite of minus 6 is 6. Plus or minus the square root. Big fat butt square root there. Now, b squared minus 4ac, so we make 1 parentheses to the second. That's the only one that's to the second. And then we always put a minus, and then we put 3 parentheses in a row. B, so b is negative 6. Okay. And then we always put a 4. And then a is 1, and c is positive 3. Okay, plus 3 means it's positive. And then I have 2 times whatever a is, and a is 1, okay, over 2a. Okay, so if you remember from yesterday, we put the plus minus because we have this, this, and this, okay? So I've got 6. I have no idea what becomes this square root, so 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, now if you do it like we did yesterday, and I'm going to show you guys something, negative 6 to the second power, that means times it by itself, okay? And then 4 times 1 times 3. Okay, so we have 36, so I put that first, and then I always have a minus sign after that. And then 4 times 1 times 3 is 12. Okay, now this one I don't have to plus because I just minus it. It's 24. Okay, so find the square root of 24. Okay, 4.89, but I'm going to round it to 4.90. Now I'm going to tell you something else. There's a way to not have to do this stuff that I'm pointing my finger at. and you gotta have this kind of calculator. You can go second and then hit your x to the second power button so the square root opens up, and you need to put 2 parentheses right away. And then you're going to put a -6 and then close one of the parentheses and hit second power. You can just hit the x to the second key like that. And then minus a 4, a 1, and a +3. Okay, same thing. Okay, and you're more than welcome to use that if you don't have the right kind of calculator, you're going to have to do this. So 6 plus 4.90 equals, divided by 2, 5.45. Remember to click equals before you divide. Then 6 minus 4.90, click equals 1.1, divide that by 2, 0.55.